Okay, good morning, good afternoon. How's everyone doing today? Hope you're all well. Hey Diana, how you doing? Ayakami was the first one, bright and early. Hey VXP, hey Frank. Hope you're all well. I see a few more people streaming in. What a hot day. No, it's a nice and stormy day here in Singapore. So it's rainy, cloudy and rainy day here. Hey Kaz, how you doing? Good morning. Hope you're all well. So you say just had lunch and it's a raining afternoon. It is. It's a nice and stormy afternoon. I'm glad I'm indoors. I'm glad you guys are indoors as well because you're on the stream. Unless you're running around on the stream, then just be super careful if you're running around. All right, but pay attention to the stream as well. Okay, just a quick risk disclaimer first. This live market analysis is sponsored by Max Global Markets, a brokerage firm that is registered with and regulated by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the MAS. Max Global Markets has no control over or influence over the content of this analysis, which was generated by independent party myself. Please remember that the information in this analysis is offered solely for educational and informational reasons and does not constitute financial advice. All right, so we will be looking at the markets, we will be looking at possible trade setups, we'll be talking about the news, about what happened overnight or early this morning. If you do jump into any trades, please make sure you do your own analysis, you understand the risk before jumping into any trades, okay? With that done, take that away. Market is testing my patience this week. Yeah, it's testing everyone's patience, but there are really good opportunities, or there had been really good opportunities as well. I hope it continues on. I hope it continues on, particularly in gold. And also I had a short one on, well, not a short, but a quick one on Aussie, but particularly in gold. That was what's been keeping me super busy. All right. Love Diana loves that weather, miss that weather in Dubai. I don't know whether it really gets stormy and rainy in Dubai. I think it rains a couple of days in a year or not that much in a year. So you want stormy weather, come to Singapore. Are you using Max Global now when we're broker? I'm struggling to do the broker reviews, but I will get the broker reviews coming up. Leave a comment in the broker review video on YouTube. Let me know what other brokers you'd like me to review. I'll do that for you guys as well. Okay. So we are also streaming on TradingView as well. So hey, if you guys are new to the session, do drop a message, say hi, let me know that you're here. Let me know where you're joining us from. I love to find out. I want to know where everyone is. And if at any point in time you do have a question, please put it into the chat. Let me know. The link I forgot to put in is there. So if you haven't already, the link for the Discord channel is there as well for you to join us on Discord. It is absolutely free to join. What? Diana just said it does sometimes in the other parts of the UAE. Last year even snow and hailed? Now I'll look for, I'm traveling there that often. I hope one of the times that I'm there that it would snow and hail a little bit. Just would be a nice experience. Good morning, Pips Apprentice. How are you doing? Suyan has a love and hate relationship with gold. I'm just loving gold all the way right now. I'm waiting to sell euro if the dollar strength continues. That's what we'll get into through this session. So it is Friday. It is the 20th of October. Not quite end of the month, but end of the week. Let's get informed on what has happened and what's potentially coming up for the next week planned and what could surprise us as well. Okay. So what happened since the last time we spoke? Nothing much. in the evenings, yesterday evening, right? We had the US unemployment claims, very good number, was a 209, revised up to 211. Expected 210 came out at 198K, so lower unemployment claims. That's a good news. We are seeing better employment numbers in the US. However, the main feature for yesterday, the big feature for yesterday was at 12, no, not yesterday, sorry, this morning, early this morning, 12 a.m. GMT plus 8, we had Fed Chair Powell speaking. Right, Fed Chair Powell speaking at the Economic Club of New York luncheon. And like I was telling you all through this week, is typically with the other central bankers, it's a non-event. Chair Powell does like to speak at particularly this event and talk quite a bit about policy. And what he said this time round, if I just went to the opening remarks, FOMC proceeding carefully given risk hikes so far. Additional evidence of strong economy may merit hiking. So he's still leaving the idea of a hike on the table. So it's not saying that, we're not going to hike anymore. If there is additional evidence they might have to hike, they will hike. The hike is still on the table. Geopolitical tensions highly elevated, poses key risk. Still meaningful tightening in the pipeline, so we're still looking at that happening. Monitor highly elevated geopolitical tensions may pose important risk to global economic activity. We might be looking at a bit of a slowdown in economic activity because of the geopolitical tensions at the moment. The extent of additional policy firming, the tightening, and how long to keep policy restrictive will depend on data, outlook, and the balance of risk. Right? So he's talking about the idea that, hey, we will still have to tighten if we have to. Tighten meaning increase interest rates, but it's going to be based on data, outlook on the economic performance. And then also here where he says that economy is resilient, growing strongly, rates haven't been high long enough, so they're not looking at any cuts. Right? Take that out of the dictionary for now. Not looking at any cuts. The rate's not high not high. Rates haven't been high enough long enough. I'm getting caught out of my reading. Haven't been high enough and long enough. So maybe still putting that idea of another hike on the table, but likely to keep it at this level for a while more. Economy is resilient, growing strongly. Growth is running above its long run trend. It's a surprise. Economy is a story of stronger demand, less affected by interest rates. We should be seeing effects of monetary policy arriving, so we're going to see, anticipating that the previous rate increases is likely to lead to the further slowdown in inflation growth. A lot of uncertainty around lags in policy effect. Lag means we're going to take some time to see the impact of the previous interest rate hikes. A reason for caution, have to be patient, moving carefully. Does not feel like policy is too tight. Okay, so those were the headlines that came out from his talk there at midnight early this morning. There was also the talk that, with the way treasury yields are going in the US, is likely to have that impact or have a similar impact to hiking rates. Right? With the way treasury yields in the US is climbing, it's having a similar impact to hiking rates, and that's why, if you look at this, the rate hike percentage, right? I think it was 90, let me see. I think it was 93 All right, it was 93 just 2 days ago. I think even just yesterday it was at 93.8, if I remember correctly. Right now, because of his comments, because of Chair Powell's comments about treasury yield, about rates, about being cautious, it's now factored into the point where it's a 98.3% chance that the Feds are going to keep rates on hold for the 1st of November meeting. Okay, so 98.3, not saying it's 100%, not saying it's a done deal. There is a 1.7% chance that they're still going to hike rates, but almost a certainty that rates will be kept on hold at the upcoming meeting. And because of that almost certainty, we actually saw on the dollar index, in this case, when he was talking, this was at midnight, right? It was coming down. It set at that, not that one. It's set right above that 61.8 level. In fact, it's set at that 50% level. Right, it's set at 50% retracement level. And again, refer back to yesterday's video where I was saying that we're only looking for that big downside if price breaks below that 50% level. So at 8 o'clock, it was testing, trying to break, bounced around. At midnight, with the news and with the speech, we saw that big push to the downside, right? That big push to the downside on the dollar index. But it still found that 61.8 Fib retracement level for the longer term and seems to have found that support. So we were talking about this yesterday, saying that it's likely to have ranging between 106.70 and 106, or 106 here and 106.70. Went up, tested that level, came right back down, now looking like it's bouncing back up. Right now testing or trying to break that 50% retracement level again. And that's why I had that nice little W, which I'll take away for now. Okay, so we're seeing from yesterday's news event, we're seeing the dollar continue within this range. Ayakame said, where do I view the rate chart? I think you're talking about that one. I'll put it here. I'll put a link in the chat so you can check that one out there. Hey Ismet, how you doing? Hey Petty. Hey MD. Hi Mesh. Hey Goju, how you doing? Okay, so the link for that is on CME group. You can check out the percentages for the rates decision. So that was what happened early this morning with Fed Chair Powell speaking. I did not pay attention to the other speeches. Gooseby, I haven't seen a recession. Hopefully we can avoid it. That's fine. Member Barr usually says something interesting. Feds are developing scenarios for 2024 stress test for large banks. That's not worried. Member Harker says wants to triple down on keeping high rates for extended period. Again, another line to say, we're not looking at cutting yet. Don't expect the Feds to be cutting rates right now, keeping it higher for longer. That's going to be the line moving forward. And through that, we had Chinese prime. I don't pay attention to those data. Before this session at 2 p.m., we did have the retail sales number for the UK was 0.4%. Expected minus 0.3, came out at a minus 0.9%. Big negative number there on the UK retail sales number. And what did we see on the pound? You'll see that at 2 a.m. it spiked back down, right there. So it spiked right back down. So this bounce back up, we'll take that away for now. That did not trigger, that came close, but it was too late. So we saw the pound dollar basically from 1.2157 spike down towards 1.2095 and now still sitting along that support level. Take that away for now. Okay, so that was the news. And then later on today at 8:30 p.m. GMT plus 8, we will have core retail sales and retail sales number for the Canadians was 1%, expected minus 0.1 for the core retail sales, and for retail sales was 0.3, expected minus 0.1. If we do see the retail sales number come out that way, then most likely we're going to see some weakness come back into play on the Canadian dollar or on the loonie. Okay, so we'll watch out for that. So what you notice is that we don't have a lot of news left for the rest of the day, right? Heading into the weekend. So what I'm thinking is that it might be relatively smooth trending scenarios here moving forward. But let's look into next week of what we can look out for. Again, remember that especially during this period, I will be keeping my trades neutral, or rather keeping my portfolio neutral by the end of this trading session today. Right, I'm not going to be holding on to any trades over the weekend. Usually you can if you really have a good position, but with the geopolitical tensions and uncertainty right now, we just don't know what could happen over the weekend, right? We just don't know what could happen over the weekend. So best suggestion, best advice would be to go neutral, to go flat. What that means is to have no positions open over the weekend because we just don't know what's going to happen. Okay, that's the one surprise that we can plan for. Planning for a surprise, right? We're plan in case there's a surprise, things are going to gap. So just go neutral there. On Monday, we have the Kiwi on a bank holiday and nothing much else. On Tuesday, next week, we have a whole bunch of PMI numbers, Purchasing Managers Index for the Eurozone, for the UK, and for the US. So we'll watch out for that. Main feature for next week, I will be looking out for the Australian dollar CPI, Inflation Growth Index, year on year. Very interestingly, looking like it might climb slightly from a 5.2 to a 5.3%. If we see inflation growth continue to climb in Australia, is that going to lead to potentially another rate hike? This is where we're going to see some volatility, so I'll pay attention to that. And on Wednesday, we'll have Canadians, the Bank of Canada with their interest rate decision. We'll talk about that as that comes up. The ECB with their interest rate decision, US GDP release, and the core PCE price index next week for the US. So it is going to be interesting into next week. Like Soon was just saying that it's been I'm trying to quote it properly. Market has been testing her patience this week. I think it's setting up for any potential surprises with the geopolitical tensions, and if not, then we do have quite a number of big events for next week. Interest rate decision for the Canadians, interest rate decision for the Euro zone, and then core PCE price index, inflation indicator for the US, and inflation indicator for the Australians. Okay, so do make sure you tune in next week as well for all the info. And I'm losing my voice. Buba said, from which site can we get this chart that shows the percentage that shows the likelihood of Fed rate? Buba, the link is up there. Link is up there, the cmegroup.com link is there. So you can check that one out. Okay, so with all that, now looking at the charts. Today is the 20th of October, not November, October. We are seeing the dollar index. Like, remember now, take that away. Remember I was saying that there's not much news remaining for the rest of the week or the trading session. So I do believe, or I do anticipate that the dollar index is going to continue within this current range, right? Within this current range. So just to draw it out a little bit better again, it rose up from here, found the top, came right back down, found the top, came right back down. Now what we're looking for is for it to come back up to the top again. Okay, so it's tested and it seems to be trying to break 50, 61.8, not far off as well. Okay, so I'll put in 61.8 there. And we can zoom in on this a little bit. Okay, there we go. So what needs to happen is it needs to break above 106.40, 106.40 to climb to the upside. 106.40 and push towards the upside of 106.70. I don't see a big reason of why it should break beyond that today. Could happen, but I think that if it does climb up to this point, that would be a reasonable move. Okay. What's most likely going to happen is going to sit there for a while, all right, and push back up. If it fails to break above 106.40, then we will see it come back down again. It's not, take that away, that's pointless. It's not dissimilar to what we saw here. Okay, look, it went, tested this support level here, it pushed up, failed to break higher, came right back down, and then after that went back up again. So it might be the case where it came right down, it came down, so it comes down, test, comes back down again, and pushes back up. But generally, we're looking for it to push towards the upside. Any questions so far? Does it make sense? Let me know. So on the dollar, what we're looking for is continue to range between 106 and 106.70. Right, needs to break 106.40 to test resistance. Thank you for that, Ayakame. Not rest, test resistance. Yep, break that to test the resistance. Okay, I'm happy with that. So we're looking for a resumption of strength for the dollar index back towards the upside. Hey Mady, how are you doing? So with that expectation, then looking at the charts, I would, it looks like I'm going to maintain a lot of views, right? As in, what I mean by that is we were looking for the Kiwi dollar to sell down. It bounced up because of dollar pushing to the downside, but a resumption of strength could see this push down. If you were looking at the Kiwi dollar, you could have sold, early this morning as it test and reject that resistance level. Oops. So you could have sold as a test and rejected at resistance level. But if you did not, looking at it dropping slightly right now, I would be looking for 58. I could do 5815. It was a bit more aggressive. 5810. Take profit. Good 60 pips to the downside. Stop loss. I'm looking at this point. Farm, I will look at gold. Gold will be the last pair or last item that we look at, so just stay tuned. So I'm looking at that equal low to break. So my stop loss will be about 30 pips, take profit about 60 pips to the downside. I just wanted to break that level to head down. So same thing, sell 0.5810, stop loss 30, take profit 60 pips. So we'll keep that view on the Kiwi dollar. Then onto the Aussie, did not break that support, take that away. I did get into that move as it pushed up, so I'll zoom in there to show you. Right, as it was pushing up, right between here to here, before the news, I was looking at the dollar pushing to the downside, so I was thinking, great, Aussie dollar looks like it's bouncing off that support. During the news, I was trading this back up, 61.8 at that point, tested that point, and then it started reversing. So that's what you're on the lookout for, and you see that it also on the H1 time frame went right out of that Bollinger Band and then came right back in again. Okay, so that was the Aussie to slightly to the upside. Take that, we were expecting that bounce, and that worked out quite nicely. Right now, you would want to wait a little bit. Oops. Right now you would want to wait a little bit because we have a little bit of a slightly ascending line there, and that would look at 0.63 as a round number. Right, so if you rushed to get into a trade, if you wanted to rush to get into a trade, then you would be saying, okay, breaks 0.63, so I'm looking at 6290 or 6295. Right, stop loss about 20 pips, take profit could go down to 50 to the downside. Why I would be a little bit more cautious is because it did find this level before bouncing back up. It did find this level here before bouncing back up. So I wouldn't rush into the Aussie. I would say only below 6280, stop loss tight, no more than 20 pips. In fact, no more than 20. You could even go a little bit lower. You could go to 15, but 15 to 20. And then your take profits at 40 pips to the downside. Mady just said maybe double bottom on the Kiwi. It could be. It could form a double bottom, but we're possibly looking at that pushing back up. So the likelihood is for it to continue lower. And you see that the Kiwi dollar has been under pressure to the downside. Right, so I think that a double bottom would face very strong resistance at that 5860 level, which would coincide with the diagonal trend line as well, so more likely towards the downside. Okay, so Aussie dollar similar, pushing down 6280, stop loss 20 pips, take profit 40 pips. There we go. 6280, stop loss 20, take profit 40. Keeping those two views identical from yesterday. Then, this was the one that got me a bit interested, right? Take that away for now. I was watching the yen as it was, I'm going to remove that for now. I was watching the yen as it was pushing to, it was just slightly outside and it was pushing to the upside, right here. This was yesterday at this point. So it was pushing up. It found at 9 o'clock, it found that support. 10 o'clock, it found that support along that trend line. And if you look at this, at 10 o'clock, the US yen pushed up. But yet, at 10 o'clock here, we only saw a small push on the dollar. Right, we saw a small push on the dollar. So that's where I was thinking, maybe we're going to see that yen weakness come back into play. I wanted to see it break above 150 before pushing back down. Didn't happen, right? It didn't happen. It still stays along in a relatively tight consolidation along that point. I'll take that trend line away because it doesn't seem to work very well. Replace it with this one. Right, a shorter term trend line, and you see that seems to be holding quite well. Okay, and let's test this. You see that. Okay, so we have our top trend line, we have our bottom trend line there. It shows that squeeze most likely at this point with the way it's been moving, right? With the way it's been moving, if what I'm anticipating is still the same view that we're going to see it bounce around here, break up, and then after that come right back down again. Okay, so I think there was a headliner as well. There you go. Moment of truth as traders grapple with BOJ intervention threat. See, since when we had a lot of talk about intervention from the BOJ during the end of September period, right after that big move in October, didn't hear anything about a BOJ intervention all the way through to now, where the headliners are coming out again with talk about intervention. So what I'm looking for here is a break of that 150 level and then possible intervention back down. So same thing, 149.85, 30 pips stop loss, almost, well, fantastic 150 take profit, a 1-5 to the downside. I'm still poised and waiting for the US yen to do that, right? Need to break above 150 and intervene, and retrace, but we're looking for the intervention. We're still at 149.85, stop loss 30, take profit 150. Okay, there we have it. Still looking for that to push up. US yen not super tradable at the moment. Okay, and this is one of the scenarios where, if you don't do the analysis, if you don't do the broad-based analysis, what's going to happen is you're going to try and catch moves on the US yen, right? You're going to think that as it breaks to the downside, you can sell. And this move that's a 30 pip move to the downside from top to bottom. A 30 pip move to the downside. What would have happened for most traders, not saying you guys, but for most other traders, is that you'll see a break, you try to sell, next moment it comes back up, right? Or you'll see it bounce, pushing back up, and then you will try to buy it up, next moment it comes right back down again. So as it's forming a move, I would say, do the analysis, know what or identify what you want to happen before you get into a trade, and then wait. So in this case, US yen going to bounce around a little bit, looking for it to break 150 before retracing back down again, looking for that 149.85 level to get in at. Okay, so with that, then on to the pound. Look at the pound. Look at the pound dollar. Pound dollar is sitting at the support level of 1.2115 or 1012. Right, it's right at that support level. On Thursday or yesterday, we saw it come down as it was breaking. As it was breaking to the downside, I posted in the Discord chat and I said, I'm watching out for pound, trying to see whether it's going to break, could we sell it down, and then the next moment it goes right back up again. Right, it goes right back up again. Could it happen today? Wait, I think Ayakami is talking about. Are you talking about the pound dollar or the yen? So I'm looking at the pound dollar. I'll take that one away. Resistance is there. We still have that push down. Mady was saying that Kiwi dollar on a double bottom, I might actually be more tempted to think of the pound dollar as a double bottom. Right, I'm more tempted to think of the pound dollar as a double bottom because you see that on this level, it has struggled to break. Ayakami US yen, I don't think it happened today. I would love to see it happen today, but I think that it might be a later next week, ideally next week kind of thing. Okay, so you see that it's found a little bit of a support here. This was in early October, bounced off from this point. Now again, at this point, struggling to maintain that downside. So what we'll be looking for here on the pound dollar, we have it there. Put those in, check that. 23 point. That's broken already, so let me change that. Looking at that, 61.8, okay. All right, so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, similar. It happened here early October. Now, could this be a double bottom to push the pound dollar back up? So we see that it's tested, didn't like it, push back up. Right now, this was because of the retail sales number, and then it's testing, could it push back up? Remember that if the pound dollar does push towards the upside like that, that's possibly going to lead to a turn down or downturn on dollar index, okay, which is looking like it's happening right now. So we'll have this as an alternate scenario if we see dollar index weakening, then, or weakness, so we don't see that recovery in strength on the dollar. Let me just check this. I don't like this trend line. I don't like this trend line that much. I would say that the easier one is, of course, to the downside. All right, so naturally we would be looking at a move like that, you know, tight stop, 20 pips, take profit down to that 40 pip downside. But we're also looking at a possible double bottom bounce. I would say, to be safe, 1.2140, stop loss quite a bit, 35 pips. Take profit, good 75 pips to the upside. Right, so I want to give it a bit more space. So I would want it to break above this point before I would get into a trade. So 1.2145, stop loss 40 pips, take profit 70. Not a super good risk to reward, but if it does bounce, this is a very, I would say, a safe entry level. Okay, so let's put that one in as an alternate scenario where we could be looking to buy the pound dollar at 1.2145, stop loss, at 40 pips, take profit at 70 pips. Was it 70? Yeah, 70 pips to the upside. There we go, there we go. It is not a valid reason to increase the dollar. I think the dollar will go up, will go down to at least 105.50. Currencies are on support. Yeah, 105.50 would be down to here. I think that, so that's a good point. Mehdi was just saying no valid reason to increase the dollar. I think the dollar will go down to at least 105.50. The only major reason I would think of is a move towards the reserve currency, which is the dollar, and that's why we'll see that push back up. I think that range is likely to hold. It could very well also to like test this level, fail to break, and then push right back down again. We did see one move down, but it was quite quickly recovered. And because that move down was quite quickly recovered, that's one of the other factors that's leading me to think that we could see it climb to test that resistance again. But good point there, Mehdi. Good point. Have I done my pound dollar? Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a more likely scenario, but this is an alternate scenario. Put in there. If DXY weakens. There you go. Then on to the euro dollar. Okay, oops, what did I do? Euro dollar did not break below, so we take that away. And you see here that the euro dollar has that big downward trend line supporting it. Even if we adjusted this, let me just look at our H4. Holding that level, maybe we can just take in this points here. There we go, like that. Catch close to this. And this level, let me see, where is 50? Well, 50 is broken, so we can keep that one. So 61.8 is still holding. Okay, so back to the H1 time frame. I'm pretty sure this is all done. Yep. And that's come up to test and turn back down. that trend line is still holding. I would say for the euro, so I'm looking at it to break below this point here. Right, it's just a near-term support, very near-term interim support level there, and it's at 105.70. So if that breaks, then I would say about 1.0560. Stop loss tight at 20 pips. Your take profit will be 25, so it's a 1:1. But what I would in fact say is, I don't even think it goes around 100 pips. I would say that one there. I'll consider this point here. Okay, so 60 pips there. So what you have here on the euro dollar is that if it breaks down, so what I mean by if it breaks down is that it could do this straight away, right? Break down, sell down, straightforward, or we could be looking at it come up to test and then after that break down, because the dollar is still sitting right there, right? So it could test and then break down. So I could be having this view. If it breaks to the upside, 1.06, take profit 40 pips, stop loss tight, no more than 15 pips there. You actually do have two opportunities here on the euro dollar. Right, you have two opportunities here on the euro dollar, and that this two levels would factor in either direction of the dollar index. Okay, so let's look at the sell. 1.056020 to 60. So we're looking at the euro either to sell down 1.0560, stop loss 20 to take profit 60 pips, or we can look to buy at 1.06 with a stop loss of 20 and take profit of 40, if I remember correctly. 1.06 stop loss of 15 and take profit of 40. So stop loss of 15 and take profit of 40. Okay, so it's right there in the middle, so I'll have that two opportunities. Again, remember it is towards the end of the week, so just be extra careful on those trades. Then on to the Swizy. Very interesting here on the Swizy. Look at this. What's happening? It's pushing to the downside quite strongly on this hour here, but yet nothing much happening here on the dollar. Right, so it does look like it's continuing to push to the downside. It could be a slight move towards the Swiss franc as well, right? Because the Swiss hasn't made any comments about the current situations. But what I'll notice here is very close to the current level at 0.89. Right, this is at 0.8995, so 0.89, we found a bit of a support there. Okay, I'll take that one away as well. Doesn't make sense to have that. Let me just check a few levels. Okay, I'm happy for those. I would change this to a dotted, and that's a resistance there. Right, and that's my support. Okay, so why I've done that is because I've seen that hit this level and bounce. And why this is a dotted, because it's just test this level and it's already gone past it quite easily. So this is a key support level here. If it does break, then we could see more downside with the next support level at 8834. Right, next support level at 8834. However, I would like to see it bounce. Okay, so I'm thinking of this whole thing as a bit of a support area. So I would like to see if the US Swiss franc does bounce back up. Because of the dollar strength, potential dollar strength. Okay, no. All right, I think that although we're likely to see some dollar strength, which we are seeing right now, okay, that dollar strength, some dollar strength, but yet still a push to the downside on the US Swiss franc, what I would say is look for it to break below 0.89, that support level 8895, and then look to sell down. So 8885, stop loss 25 pips, take profit, good 50 pips to the downside. Looking for that continuation of trend, maybe a shift towards some reserve on the Swiss as well. Okay, so 8885, stop loss 25, take profit 50. We're going to go follow the trend to the downside. So I sell 0.8885, stop loss 25, take profit 50. Stop loss 25, take profit 50. There we have it. There we have it. Then on to, remember we do have retail sales and core retail sales numbers to come from the Canadians. So looking at the US CAD, right, that did not push up, but expecting some weakness to come from the Canadian dollar. Wouldn't go that high, I would say 30, 40 pips at the most. 1.3742 for 140, 1.3042. Stop loss no more than 20 pips to the upside. That's holding, that's fine. I wouldn't drag this all the way, I'll just consider this high there. So it needs to break above that previous high on dollar strength, on Canadian weakness, pushing up towards that resistance level. You could catch it all the way up, but I'm just catching it to that previous high again. So that's what I'll be looking out for at 1.3740 or 42. Stop loss 40, stop loss 20, take profit 40. 1.374042, stop loss 20, take profit 40. Yeah. Okay. There we have it. Alrighty, there we have it. Look at that, still pushing down. I do think that that might play out quite nicely on the US Swiss franc. Then, as Farm was asking, about gold. All right, so gold, why it has been busy with gold is that I've been scalping it to the upside. Straightforward. We were talking about this a lot, quite extensively yesterday. It was sitting in that consolidation. Right, we saw it sitting in that consolidation, and all I said was wait, needs to break out of consolidation above 1955, could climb to 1972 because of a shift towards reserve. And what we have, it broke above 1955, right? So it tried to come up, you see here, it broke out, did not close above 1955, came back down. Once it closed above 1955 right there, then we saw that steady push to the upside, right? A steady push to the upside. Interestingly as well, additionally as well, is that if you would like, I have written up something about gold, just a brief overview of gold. It is at a 3-month high right now, right? It's at that 3-month high, in the area of a 3-month high right now. So you can go read more about that there. As it breaks, or as it continues to look to break to the upside, 1980 right now, that level. Next point is at 1987. I think that's a relatively straightforward expectation. And beyond that, 1992. Just identifying some areas there. I put as a dotted. Okay. So what I'm looking at here on gold, currently in 1980, it's likely to get to 1992 or 1993. Okay, gold currently 1980 should or could continue climbing to 1993. Just looking at the continued upside there on gold. I have been looking at it through today, just thinking that is it going to retrace? Is there a retracement before a push back up? It could do this, or rather I would love to see it do this, but I don't see a big reason for why it should spike or it should come back down that much. So I think that's possibly going to happen. What's possibly going to happen is going to sit around there for a little bit before pushing up. Okay, that's gold. Jordan's asked, how far above 150 do you think dollar yen will spike? Looking at dollar yen now, it's very close to that 150. It's maybe not going to bounce like that. We'll wait and see. But the last time it got to 150.15. Alright, got to 150.15. So it could even be a little bit higher. I don't know where exactly, but once it breaks above that point, then I'll start thinking of putting in that order. And the higher it goes, the higher my order will get as well. So if it climbs up to that point, then my order is here. If it pushes to 150.40, then I'll just keep moving this higher up. Okay. Good question there. Do you plan on having another live news trading session? What's happening on the 8th? Like on the 18th? Oh, like on the 18th. Yes, whenever we come across any major news events that is in the right timing, then I will be more likely to do a news trading event with you guys. Okay, and also if you guys are going to tune in. If you're not going to tune in, if I'm just going to turn on and start rambling on, then no, not likely. But yeah, if you are going to tune in, if you guys are interested, put it into the chat, let me know. Join the Discord and let me know. And we can get that done. Okay, so with all that said, please remember, help me out. Click that like and subscribe button on YouTube on TradingView. If you'd like to check out Max Global Markets with an account, QR code is there. Do check it out. And if not, I'll catch you all on Discord. And if not that, please have a good weekend, a fantastic weekend ahead. And I'll see you all on Monday, where we look at the markets all over again. Take care now. Thank you, Diana. Thanks, Goju. Take care now. Bye-bye.